The U.S. is sending troops back to the Middle East, this time not for combat, but for peace. 200 American personnel are deploying to Israel to help enforce the Gaza ceasefire and coordinate humanitarian aid. We'll have details on their mission and what it says about Washington's future role in the region. The Pentagon confirmed that around 200 American troops are being deployed to Israel in what officials describe as support roles. Their mission, to help implement the terms of the Gaza ceasefire deal and coordinate humanitarian relief efforts tied to the end of the two-year conflict. According to U.S. defense officials, the troops will fall under the command of Admiral Brad Cooper, who leads U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM. Cooper and his team are establishing what's called a civil military coordination center inside Israel. That center will serve as the main hub for military, political, and aid coordination, essentially a nerve center to make sure the ceasefire agreement is executed properly and the flow of aid continues into Gaza. The ceasefire itself is now in effect, with both Israeli and Hamas forces beginning to observe the truce after the two-year conflict. Officials stress that the U.S. personnel are not combat troops. The 200 include planners, engineers, logistics experts, and security specialists. They'll work exclusively from inside Israel. There'll be no American boots on the ground in Gaza. The first elements have already begun arriving, with the rest expected over the weekend. Once in place, they'll join representatives from several regional partners, including Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and the UAE. Together, this multinational team will monitor both sides of the ceasefire, coordinate humanitarian shipments, and help manage the complex deconfliction mechanisms that prevent accidental clashes. And that's going to be a very complex job. Under the terms of the deal, Hamas is expected to release the 48 remaining hostages, both living and dead, over the next 72 hours, while Israel begins freeing roughly 2,000 Palestinian detainees. Those exchanges are among the most sensitive parts of this agreement, and one reason why Washington wants its coordination team in place before the process begins. This mission will also lay the groundwork for what's being called the International Stabilization Force, or ISF, a temporary peacekeeping structure envisioned in the Trump administration's 20-point peace plan. That plan calls for an international coalition to train and support vetted Palestinian security forces while helping Israel and Egypt maintain border security around Gaza. Admiral Cooper's job will be to keep all sides informed, identify potential violations, and make sure that each party is sticking to the terms of the agreement. Well, that sounds simple enough. One U.S. official described the effort as, quote, collegial, meaning that no single country will take the lead, but Washington will coordinate the moving pieces. And that's interesting. I mean, for what it's worth, I'm not sure that a collegial structure in this environment is what's needed. Typically, you may actually need someone or some entity in actual charge. On the ground, Israeli troops have already started pulling back from parts of Gaza as a ceasefire takes hold, particularly around Gaza City and Khan Yunis. It's the first visible sign that both sides are beginning to implement the agreement in real time. President Trump is expected to travel to Egypt this weekend for the official signing ceremony of the deal. The White House says the U.S. deployment reflects America's commitment to stabilizing the region after years of conflict. Now, there's no doubt that this is a momentous development. A tremendous amount of work has gone into getting the ceasefire in place. Everyone, well, perhaps everyone except for the mullahs of Iran and their Revolutionary Guard Corps, are hoping that the peace can hold. This first phase, involving the return of the remaining hostages, is extremely complex, and for that statement, I win today's PDB Statement of the Obvious Award. It's not clear which groups within Gaza have been holding some of the living hostages, and if anyone amongst Hamas or Islamic Jihad or other elements that held hostages know where the bodies of the deceased are located. There's the potential for problems, for roadblocks, or delays at every twist and turn of this first phase. And then there's the question of what next. If the hostages are returned and the Palestinian prisoners and Hamas detainees transferred, how will Hamas react to disarming or to stepping away from any governing role? Look, it's a long overdue and obviously very welcome development, this ceasefire, but no one should imagine at this stage that a lasting peace is the logical conclusion. Hopefully it is, but history, and I realize that this sounds very cynical, tells us otherwise. All right, coming up next, the Nobel Peace Prize goes to a Venezuelan opposition leader defying the Maduro regime, why her win could shake up Latin America, and why it fits neatly into the Trump administration's strategy. I'll be right back. Hey, Mike Baker here. Now, I've spent a large portion of my career out in the field. Long hours, tough terrain, no room, frankly, for gear that can't keep up. And that's why I trust Brunt Workwear. That's Brunt, B-R-U-N-T. As an example, their field boots, well, they're rugged, they're waterproof, and importantly, I tell you, they're comfortable right out of the box. There's no break-in needed. Brunt builds more than boots, though. Work pants, jackets, all of it built to perform. It's durable, reliable, mission-ready. For those who get after it, Brunt's got your back. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard, frankly, to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better, boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners at PDB get $10 off at Brunt when you use code PDB at checkout. Just head over to bruntworkwear.com and use the code PDB, and you're good to go. And after you order, they'll ask you where you heard about Brunt. Do me a favor. Tell them the PDB sent you. Welcome back to the Afternoon Bulletin. We got word this morning on who's taking home this year's Nobel Peace Prize. And no, it's sadly not me for our efforts here at the PDB to bring some level of objectivity and civility to delivering your important news. Now, there had been plenty of buzz that President Trump might walk away with the award. Well, at least there was plenty of buzz within the White House. I think the mistake there was suggesting that you deserve the award or should be considered. It's probably best to play it coy and humble with that Nobel crowd. But it is true that a number of world leaders had put President Trump's name forward, pointing to his diplomatic efforts in the Middle East and his push to end long-running wars. But as it turns out, that speculation was a bit premature. The Nobel Committee closes nominations in January each year, and at that point, Trump hadn't even started his second term. So apparently, he wasn't really in the running this time around. Look, to be fair, after the Nobel hoi polloi nominated Barack Obama for the Peace Prize less than 2 weeks after he had been elected president, because apparently he had accomplished Peace Prize-worthy achievements in less than 2 weeks, the shine is kind of off the award. Frankly, I'd rather be awarded a nice coupon to Topgolf. Maybe they'd throw in some beverages. Anyway, I digress. This time around, the Nobel Committee handed the prize to María Corina Machado, the Venezuelan opposition leader who's become a symbol of resistance to Nicolas Maduro's repressive socialist regime. You might remember she was barred from running in last year's presidential election after polls showed that she would likely have beaten Maduro handily. The committee cited her, quote, tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy. Machado's been living in hiding inside Venezuela for months now, moving from safe house to avoid arrest. Despite that, she continues to rally international support, coordinating with allies across Latin America and Europe, and now inside Washington. She's forged close ties with members of the Trump administration, many of whom see her as a key figure in the effort to replace the Maduro regime, which they view as nothing more than a narco-terrorist operation. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called Machado a symbol of resilience, grit, and patriotism. And that's not just rhetoric. Machado has become the face of a movement that refuses to die, even under relentless intimidation. Now, while President Trump might be a wee bit salty about not taking home the prize himself, the fact that it went to Machado actually aligns neatly with his administration's posture toward Caracas. It boosts the legitimacy of Venezuela's democratic opposition at a time when the U.S. is ramping up pressure on the Maduro government. It's a soft power win in a region where Washington's been looking to reassert influence. So, her win is a positive for U.S. national security interests. As for the Maduro government, they haven't said anything about the award yet. No official reaction. Go figure. And that, my friends, is the PDB Afternoon Bulletin for Friday, the 10th of October. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at pdb@thefirsttv.com. And don't forget, Fridays mean new episodes of our extended weekend show, the PDB Situation Report. Excellent guests as always, news, insight. Look, it's got everything except a theme song and a house band. This weekend's episode launches this evening at 10 p.m. on the First TV, You can also catch it and past episodes on our YouTube channel at President's Daily Brief, as well as wherever you get your podcast stuff. I'm Mike Baker, and I'll be back over the weekend with the Situation Report. Until then, stay informed, stay safe, stay cool. Hey, Mike Baker here. Let me take just a moment of your time, if I could, to talk about your hard-earned assets and how to protect them. Now, did you know that gold is up around 40% this year? That's 40. That's not speculation, it's reality. And if a portion of your savings isn't diversified into gold, well, you could be missing the boat. Now, here's the facts. Inflation is still too high. The U.S. dollar is still too weak, and the government debt seems insurmountable. And that's why central banks are flocking to gold, and they're the ones driving prices up to record highs. But it's not too late to buy gold from Birch Gold Group. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold, and you don't pay a dime out of pocket. Just text PDB to 989-898 and claim your free information kit. There's no obligation. It's just useful information. Look, the best indicator of the future is the past, and gold has historically been a safe haven for generations in times of inflation or global instability. Text PDB to 989-898 to claim your free information kit on gold. That's PDB to 989-898. Protect your future today with Birch Gold.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment, a really positive, nice, and kind comment. That would be appreciated. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our daily updates.